Today is the 1 year anniversary of this channel. On that day, 1 year ago, we were celebrating the news that Cardano was finally on Coinbase. We had also only had NFTs for a couple of weeks with the merry hard fork. Here we are, 1 year and 316 episodes later. It's only fitting that the 1 year birthday of this channel finds Cardano facing opposing cross currents, forces working in favor of and against the momentum of this, the world's greatest blockchain. Ready? Let's go. Today, we are going to discuss the Federal Reserve finally raising the federal funds rate today, another sign of mainstream crypto adoption, this time related to one of the biggest apps in the world, some additional details from Pavia, the MinSwap DEX, and Cardano TVL, along with ADA support in the Trezor suite. If you're enjoying these videos, please consider delegating to the Army of Spies stake pool, ticker AOS. Dun dun dun. The Federal Reserve has finally raised the federal funds rate by 25 basis points. This is what we've been expecting for months. And if you want an idea of what the federal funds rate has looked like for the last 40 years, it looks like this. Obviously, you can see in the 1980s, we had numbers as high as 19%, and the rate has just gone down and down. A lot of fluctuation, but down with cycles, but down and down and down until in this last bear market, we were down close to zero, and now we're down close to zero once again. I think you can see what is likely to happen after this period of zero rates. It looks like they will be raising rates at all 6 of the meetings left in 2022 as well. How do we know that? We know that because the FOMC always releases this dot plot to us. We've covered the dot plot in the past. Specifically at the end of last year, we saw predictions as to how many times the members, it's actually not even the members of the FOMC. The dot plot is actually the projections of all of the participants in the meeting, which is a number that's actually larger than the number of members. So you've got some people participating in the meeting and participating in this dot plot who aren't actually members of the meeting, because it's kind of a rotating cast of people from all of the different Fed banks. But it looks like they are projecting, the majority of people are projecting some number by the end of 2022 that is just below 2%. By the end of 2023, though, a majority of people, actually it's split. There's 8 down here and eight up here, but the average projection puts us somewhere right here, just below 2.75 or maybe just at 2.75. And you'll notice in 2024, the number doesn't really go down. We're pretty much at exactly the same levels. So for 2023 and 2024, the FOMC is letting us know rates are only going up and they're going to stay there. We probably won't see anything lower until something in the 2025 term. These are obviously just projections, and things can change, and they do change. We've seen changes just since we last covered the dot plot in December, but this is kind of an indication of where things might be going in terms of the Fed's bid to fight inflation. And if you think about inflation, we like to think that the crypto space is, on its way to being decorrelated from the rest of the financial markets. And I think if we're all being honest with ourselves, we can admit that hasn't taken place yet. And anything that might stymie the price growth of the equities markets probably has a negative impact on the prices in the crypto markets. I would love it if we were already decorrelated from those other markets, but I think that what happens to the equities markets is probably going to have an impact on what happens in the crypto markets, at least in the near term. Who knows when we actually get to this point where we decorrelate, the magical point of decorrelation. Who knows when we actually get there? Hopefully it's sooner rather than later. But I think we're not immune from the effects of this kind of hiking of rates by the Fed. If money is more expensive for everyone, it's very possible that the same effect we see in the equities market will occur in the crypto markets as well. But this theme is definitely counterbalanced by an opposing current. We're seeing an opposing positive current. We're seeing both in crypto in general and specifically in Cardano. Like we talked about yesterday, we've got maybe 500 different platforms building on Cardano. And as Charles has pointed out, a lot of them are backloaded until some point after that Vossel June hard fork combinator moment, when we get all of these great scaling things like reference inputs and inline datums and reference scripts, SIPs 31 through 33, along with input endorsers and pipelining. This is, of course, this will be a gigantic leap forward in terms of scaling. So a lot of platforms are just waiting until those are in place because they need those scaling efforts. As we'll look at in just a second with the MinSwap launch, the theme so far in Cardano has been that when big platforms launch, they find users. Even if in the case of MinSwap, we've already got 2 DEXs online. One of them is an AMM, even very similar to MinSwap. And still, when MinSwap launches, we see a huge amount of use and very rapidly accelerating total value locked. I know people have different feelings on total value locked. They feel like it's not a very good proxy for use of a blockchain. And I tend to agree with those people. But what we've seen in Cardano is that whatever metric you use as a proxy for growth and use and all of those positive things, when new platforms launch on Cardano, they see a lot of use. We all know the Cardano community is gigantic, and it's pretty rabid for projects like these. Even when we've already got one AMM, another AMM launches, and it instantly finds customers who are more than willing to lock assets into that platform. It seems likely that the sun is about to shine very brightly on Cardano, regardless of what the Federal Reserve is doing. And we've never seen a Cardano with 500 projects on it. We've never seen 500 projects launch in Cardano over any time period. I mean, as far as major projects go, we've seen a couple launch, literally a handful. When you think about 500 projects launching, this is something we've never seen before. Cardano could see the most exciting times in its short history. But then again, it's balanced by these macro trends. We're also seeing larger positive expansionist currents affecting the entire crypto space. Here, CoinDesk is reporting that Mark Zuckerberg at South by Southwest said that NFTs are coming soon to Instagram. In crypto, this is probably not going to be everybody's favorite news. When we think about gigantic corporations that could embrace crypto and the metaverse and NFTs, Facebook is not at the top of everybody's lists. I think people imagine some sort of corporate bastardized corruption of these pieces of our crypto landscape anytime they think about Facebook, now known as Meta, having anything to do with these things. And I got to admit, probably there will be a lot of grimacing by crypto people the first time they get onto a Zoom call, and all of their coworkers who've never had anything to do with crypto before are suddenly showing them their Instagram NFTs. It's probably not, it's good, obviously good for mainstream adoption. We all want mainstream adoption, but that moment is probably not everybody's favorite, projected future moment. But if we want mainstream adoption, these are the kinds of things we're going to have to endure. I think the corporate embrace of NFTs and crypto and metaverses is something that's going to come hand in hand with mainstream adoption. We can't really expect that corporations are ever not going to jump on whatever has captured the public attention. So as crypto captures more and more public attention, we're probably going to see more and more corporate adoption. And it'll be both by corporations we want in crypto and corporations we don't. I know some people probably are going to love that Instagram is is going to be including NFTs in some way. Some people are going to hate it. It's probably that way for every single corporation. Maybe Meta more haters than people who love it, but I think this is just kind of part of the price we have to pay as we see more mainstream adoption of crypto. Speaking of metaverses, we got a few more details from Pavia about how assets are going to work in Pavia. They say we have a multi-pronged approach to a rich and diverse in-game experience utilizing Pavia compatible assets, PCAs. That sounds good. Rich and diverse, multi-pronged. We like all that. Clear and evolving PCA guidance. Okay. Discord working group, free to use PCA builder tools. I like this. Free tools to build your own Pavia compatible assets. Support for professional builders, probably a good idea. Simple deployment methods. I also like that. If we can use free tools to help us build PCAs and there are simple deployment methods. It gets more interesting down here. They say PCAs are not just buildings and scenes, but will extend to all manners of other assets and wearables. We're already witnessing the emergence of a whole ecosystem of metaverse assets. Oh, and we aren't just interoperability for fun. It's real passion for us. Loads to come. So this is pretty interesting. So we could see normal, it sounds like what they're saying is we could see normal users creating not just buildings, but things like the sorts of wearables, clothing items for your avatars that we've seen in places like Decentraland. This will be super interesting if everybody can build wearables using free tools and simple deployment methods for their own avatars. I think that could lead to a very diverse and interesting metaverse experience from one of Cardano's biggest metaverse projects. A lot of people have been asking about MinSwap lately, so I thought we'd pop in and take a look at the user interface real quick. Everything looks fantastic to me. They've got a lot of trading pairs. It's a very intuitive user interface. Nothing seems surprising. They've got some great features like the zap-in feature when you only have one token of the trading pair. I think this only makes sense, and I believe this will become standard for all dexes on Cardano. I also like the way they organize their farms. So it's kind of a feline theme. Looks like it's not loading right now, but they have various sort of tiers. There we go. Various sort of tiers of farming. So of course the MinSwap token, the Min token ADA pair is at this lion farm level, which is like the highest level. Then you've got a tiger level for things like WMT and Pavia and Meld, Liquid, Ardana. Then we come down to the cat level, which is CNETA, Wi-Fi, Clap, all the way down to a Hosky level, which is called the dog farm. So very interesting tiered way of making it simple to understand what's happening with the LP token farming on MinSwap. But I think this is a great user interface. It's another great Cardano DEX. I think we're going to end up with, even just initially, in a few months after the Vassal hard fork, I think we're going to end up in pretty short order with something like a half dozen to a dozen very high quality decentralized exchanges on Cardano. And what's beautiful is so far, we've got three big ones operating: SundaySwap, MinSwap, and MuesliSwap. And while they're all a little bit different features and completely different order book architecture in the case of MuesliSwap, they're all turning out to be great, very high quality projects. And I think because in Cardano, because of the approach and the focus on functional programming and all the things that sort of distinguish our ecosystem, when these projects launch, what we tend to see with these big successful dexes is not just a reaction from the community like, oh, we've got another dex. That's not what we see at all. Instead, what we see is what's reflected here in DeFi Llama, and that's huge amounts of use from the community. MinSwap has been live for a number of days, and we've already got 105 million in total value locked in MinSwap, almost the same amount as in SundaySwap. This is kind of amazing. The Cardano community is hungry for these projects. We've waited a long time. And when new projects come online, even if it's a very similar use case, like I said, albeit different features and maybe slightly different architectures, those kinds of things, when a new project comes online, there's a huge amount of demand from the Cardano community to use these projects. And it's reflected even just in TVL, which a lot of people would cite as sort of an imperfect proxy for use and utility. Video 1 year ago was about a long-standing crypto institution in Coinbase finally embracing Cardano. And today we're seeing that other long-standing institutions in crypto, like the two biggest hardware wallet providers, are also showing very heightened interest in engaging with the Cardano community on a deeper level. You'll remember that Ledger had the Catalyst proposal to integrate Cardano with Ledger Live. Now we see that Trezor doesn't want to be left out. Trezor is introducing this update to Trezor Suite for ADA support and staking. I think this is pretty logical. Any player in the crypto scene, if they're looking, probably can't help but notice how fast these projects launching on Cardano are finding an audience, how fast the Cardano community is adopting these new projects. And I think people are starting to get a sense of just how strong the Cardano community is. And when they ask themselves this question, if I extrapolate out the very fast adoption of these few projects right now, if I extrapolate that out to some period of time down the road, some period of months after some significant portion of these 500 projects have launched, how big does the Cardano ecosystem look then? I think we'll see a lot of players in the crypto scene coming to the conclusion that not only did Cardano not somehow just sort of magically luck into the top 10 and miraculously stay there for this long, but actually Cardano's place in the top 10 is very well deserved. And with all of these projects launching and this rabid community ready to patronize and consume those platforms, the relevance and position of Cardano in the crypto scene is only going to expand. I know I'm going to enjoy that. I hope you enjoy it too. I hope you're having a great week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.